every track being an ACT sanctioned track. I mean, Lynch is going to be pointing at the camera going, I tried to tell you, stupid. I tried to tell you this 8 years ago and you wouldn't listen.
Now, you said it wouldn't hurt the car again. If we're DQing guys, instead of giving them 1 week, 2 week grace periods, are we going to see a lot of temper tantrums, helmets thrown, Hans device tosses?
Did you hear what Kelly said earlier? And he really hit on it, struck a chord there for sure, is that it's a show. And each and every one of us have to pull, I mean, we're race car drivers, right? We're a little egocentric, we're focused on, and arguably, no, seriously, right? Because it's a sport that's about us.
Stroke.
Really. I mean, what else does anyone else, we're the ones strapped in, we're the ones getting the enjoyment of it. I mean, arguably,
do you want my autograph?
I do want your autograph.
I got it.
But, I've lost my train of thought, was thinking about you and your autograph. But, and you get those, where are they going?
You were going with
ego.
It's a show, and you're strapped
Correct.
in.
Thank you very much. Don't do that again. So the show part of it is what we need to remember, is that those promoters are there as much for us as we are there for them. Because if the guys that are sitting there, without a show, there's no show for us to go to race with, right? First and foremost, it's an entertainment business, and nobody understands that better than Derek Lynch, that ACT mentality, and he learned that through Tom or those guys. It's absolutely a show. Remember Derek used to say in the drivers' meetings, you guys want to punch each other out, don't do it in the pits, I want you out on the
straight away.
Let's go, right? With some rear ends in the seats. Yep. This is the kind of stuff that sells tickets. So those guys are great. So that's a segue for me back into talking about the rule packages. So if you get some guys, it's not just about the front runners, right? How many times have you heard, oh, that guy's won and he's cheating, yada, yada, yada. It's a mentality, unfortunately, that some of the guys that maybe don't run as well are adapting, that if those guys are leading, then they must be cheating. Yes. And if there is a strict set of rules,
black and white,
those guys know that there's no way.
See, the thing is that I think that whole thing has changed, though.
I hope so.
Here's the thing. No, I don't think for a minute that Bentley or Walters are cheating. I don't believe that. I believe they're legal.
I've worked shows at tracks across the province every Saturday, some Sundays and Fridays for 8 years now, and I can't remember the last time in the last 5 years someone's been thrown at a tech in a weekly show. I can't remember because
Kelly, do you remember the last time someone was thrown out for a weekly show?
In a weekly show?
In a weekly show.
No.
Because promoters can't afford to lose the cars.
They're scared of losing the cars.
They're scared to lose the cars. Well, we give them grace periods, fix it for next week.
He's laughing about the rules that's happened at Sunset. We both had a step header on our car because that's what ACT allowed, and Peterborough Speedway's allowed the ACT cars in. They're allowed a step header. We weren't. I just flat didn't change my headers. It said, I'm not changing my header.
Yeah.
So what
Bob,
what year are we talking here? Are we in the hot tub time machine? Oh, it is recently.
2 weeks ago. Now, I had said, when I rolled into the pits, I said, guys, I haven't changed my header. So if I'm going to get DQ'd, just let me know, you know. And they said, no. Basically, look, change it soon. Do it. However, it's a rule package thing. They allowed the ACT car into Peterborough. I totally understand why they had to do that, car count, and where are they going to run their cars. Something's got to give.
Well, the problem was that it was presented to us as if there would be some growing pains. So Kelly, they turned to Kelly and I having limited late models and arguably running better at Peterborough. So they asked us what our opinions were, and they said, we'll work with you because what we want to do is integrate those cars into our limited class. It's not an ACT class with limited lates running in it. It's a limited late class with an ACT car coming in. So they set a preliminary set of rules to allow those vehicles to run with us with a weight penalty based on everything. And we agreed reluctantly a little bit because there was a lot of points that they said that I didn't agree with. I know for sure Kelly didn't agree with, and they told us that they would be willing to work with us on that program. And I know the guys like Andy and stuff that are watching this would probably be interested to see how that has affected in our field should we get the opportunity, to run against these guys in the future. There's too much right now, in my opinion, in the favor of the 603 style chassis. And that's what Kelly and I had done what we've done based on the belief that there's simply way too much. There's still roller rockers on those cars. They're a full roller engine, aluminum heads. We don't need to go on. I mean, the guys that have the ACT cars are going to watch this too, saying, "Oh, here we go again."
They're grinning right now.
But
they're watching the screen.
Not Dan though.
No, not yet.
What's
Now-
the weight difference between a 602 and a 603 though?
You mean the
40
actual
pounds?
engine? It's 50.
50 pounds.
It's
of the
50
engine
So if you run a
itself.
602, you're 50 pounds lighter.
Heavier.
Heavier.
Oh, what penalty?
Yeah.
The engine itself is 50 pounds difference in the engine alone.
Okay.
They put a 75-pound weight penalty on those guys.
Okay, what's the
No, no,
difference?
it's 50. It's not. See, it's not a penalty. The 603, they made them add 50 pounds to get up to the weight of our engine. However, they didn't make them put 50 pounds on the front rails, if you know what I'm saying. Now, Dan has said, you're so stupid, you don't even know that they have a weight rule on the front of the cars in ACT now because they're changing the setups to have, trying to get the front end to plant now. However, it was another 25 pounds for the coil. So 75 pounds total.
Now, I'm going to buzz in here because this is a damn movie we're putting on. Final question, and we're going to sort of get away from the ACT versus limited late model rule. We're going to have these guys on again, don't worry. Younger drivers, and we talked about this on camera, like, you know, you're 13, 14, 15-year-olds. I'm not going to point fingers, I'm not going to name names. It seems as though this next generation of drivers, we're getting away from parents encouraging their kids to work on their cars. You know, you go to tracks across the province, kids moving up into the full body divisions. Less and less are you seeing younger drivers work on their cars. They've got crew, they've got older brothers, they've got their dads, they've got whoever. And does that affect your skills as a driver in terms of respect for your equipment or knowing your equipment if you're not working on it?
I think 100%. Like when I was growing up, back from juniors up to a late model or anything like that, it wasn't here. Okay, I'll just send it to Mike or I'll send it to Sean or whatever. I'll have everything done. Who cares what's going into the thing? My dad said, okay, there's cars in the driveway that need wash. That's what's going to pay for the race cars. You're going to do that. Then you're going to work on the race car. It gave you a greater respect for things, so you don't go out there and tear the doors off the car. A lot of kids these days, I don't think, know what go into their cars, and I'm not saying all drivers, I'm not saying all young drivers coming into sports, but there is some younger kids that don't know what goes into their cars, so they don't understand the aspect of what the car is doing, and at the same time, they have no respect for guys that are, you know, putting time in all by themselves and stuff like that. Like, that's the way I look at it.
I know you have an opinion on this. Younger driver, like, I mean, if you're a father, does your son or daughter race if they're not working on their own car?
No. The short answer is no. But who do you blame for that? Do you blame the 12 or 13-year-old, or do you blame the parents? To me, it's the parents. You're the one running the show. But to see it done right, we talked about this earlier. To see it done right, you look at Tim and Brandon.
Tim Watson, Brandon Watson. Yep.
To see it done right, and as we talked about off camera a little earlier, we've been watching Brandon run for 6-7 years now. Is it
7 years
more?
now. 7 years now. Started in the full body car when he was 13 years old. He's 20 now.
Can someone tell me the time where Brandon showed a lack of respect for his equipment or somebody else's? I can't think of the time. I just can't. So to use it as a template, you use Brandon and Tim. Now, is Brandon wrenching on his car every night in the shop? I don't know. I'm asking you. You're better friends with him than I am.
He's gotten a lot better over the years, and that's to be expected too, right? Like, there's a certain level that, you know, you have a 13-year-old, and they should understand. If nothing else, they should be able to be there and learn by watching, if nothing else. And I'm 100% on that page that if Grayson wants to be in a race car, or highly even, then they're learning, and they're the ones working. I don't care if we start in go-karts, they're polishing the rear axle, or they're doing whatever. Your dad's, I like that, right? You know, you want to go this weekend, I need you to take the garbage out, and you're washing the car, and the trailer needs to be shined up, ready to go. I like that a lot. And Brandon's put his fair share of effort into it. And I've seen them get frustrated together. I mean, I've gotten to a lot of races with them, not so much this year. I haven't had the time to do it. But, you know, where they've run great, we've shared in that elation. And when they haven't run great, I mean, I've seen Brandon mature exponentially, where he used to get out of the car, he's throwing stuff around, and now he's taken the time to reflect on what went wrong, why it went wrong, and there's still, you get upset, of course, we all do, but at the same time...
But even with the frustration level high, I never watched the
He's
kid
not
wrecking.
going out or wrecking someone else on purpose or getting pissed off and just dumping someone just because he's upset about it.
But does it not aid in your car communication to your team if you understand the equipment enough? If you're working on it every night and you understand the car and you understand what the car is doing, is that not going to help your team make adjustments in between practice sessions?
Potentially.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I
Does it
do.
make a difference?
I don't think so.
If you could tell your kid, okay, well, we're going out with a Thunder car this weekend, we're going to change the rear spring, we're going to put a bigger right rear spring in the car, and the kid comes out and says, oh, the rear end of the car is all over the place. Well,
you should understand why.
explain to the kid, remember we put that 500-pound spring in the right rear, and we had that 400-pound. This is what it's going to do.
Right.
And then the kids,
Well, that
it's
that's
all about
something you're
molding
right,
the kid's
yeah.
mind. You understand what aspects you're doing to a car, how you, adjusting wedge, everything. It all brings it into full mind. That's what I think about.
You've seen it from both extremes. You've seen Caden Lapsevich, but you've seen Anderson Bowen. You've seen the guys in the States where Daddy just throws money at
Cody
their children.
Coughlin.
Eric Jones.
Unbelievable.
Eric Jones has gotten better, but it's just kids get out of the car and they've got their seat in the trailer and they go and sit down. They have an
What'd
iced
the car
tea.
do?
They put their helmet down and the team goes to work. And I
Ugh.
when you see the guys that are dominating in the States, Augie Grill, Bubba Pollard, TJ
Benjamin.
Reed, Preston Peltier, all guys that started in Legends cars and Bandoleros working on their own equipment and followed the.
Where did Benjamin start?
Kyle Benjamin started in quarter midgets.
Because I had a lot of time for that kid.
Very good.
He's a good kid. Nice to talk to. Humble.
I've never been so excited to watch Kyle Busch run at a short track level because this guy's arguably one of the best racers in the country. More money than he knows what to do at this point in his career. He's under the car working on it himself.
Were you at the show in Delaware
Yes.
when he was driving the Robley car?
Yeah, I was there.
I couldn't see Kyle Busch because he was tucked under the right rear quarter
Underneath
for 15 minutes on his knees.
And who was
working
there
on that
night,
trailing arm.
because someone was supposed to come and couldn't come, and they sent another driver. in place.
Clint Boyer came, didn't he?
No.
No,
Or
it
was that
was
the
David
next year?
Rudiman.
It was David
Rudiman came and
and
somebody.
David Rudiman
Leffler,
and
maybe?
Jason Leffler.
Leffler and Rudiman, they couldn't get out of the car fast enough. into
Hang on the
trailer.
motorhome.
And Kyle's there working on his piece, and it showed, right? The guy's never been on Delaware Speedway before. It's
And the
such
story,
fast time.
and because of our OSS connection, Dave Alexander, who runs the OSS, used to own Robley's car, so he's tight with the Robleys. The story that I got from Dave was they had set up that he's running the Robley car at Delaware. Kyle Busch standing at the pit gate by himself, waiting for the Robleys to show up, standing there waiting like a regular guy. Basically, come on, let's go. We got to get this late model going.
That's where I'd like to see the young kids come up to. I was super excited to see you on Facebook. I mean, George Wilson's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's not
I
a special
watched
friend of
that.
mine or anything. But 9 years old.
9 years
that
of
looks like
age.
an awesome class, by the way.
Pro 4 late models.
You know, that's a kid right there
Like an
that's going
outlaw.
to be the future
Yes.
of this sport.
Yes.
That, and knowing what I know of George, will probably know that car inside and out.
No
And I
question.
can't see for a minute when he's in the shop that the inside of that car is not going to have a 9-year-old little boy wiping down the inside of those panels.
No question.
But that's exciting to see, and it's going to be our future. I hope there's some more kids that can do that.
So we're gonna wrap this up now. This is gonna be. If you guys are watching, hit the YouTube comment box. Let me know on Facebook if you want to see Kelly and Chris back on, because this, I don't know, you guys killed it. I had a lot of fun. Follow us on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Handsome Chris Mitchell has Twitter now. What's your Twitter handle?
At
Dent Dynamics
22.
22.
I get everything else out but that.
Follow the Instant Classic on Twitter. You picked up a whole bunch of followers after Bench Racing Volume 1. Let's get you some more. What's your Twitter handle?
It's at Andy Kamrath 35.
Do you have a?
No.
Yeah, you
No,
probably
I'm
still
way
have
too
the.
dumb.
You gotta
You,
get
you
in
probably
there.
still have the house phone on the wall that you got to pick.
Rotary.
You don't even have a cordless phone yet.
No.
You have a cell phone?
Rotary. I have a cell phone.
He has a
I
cell
just
phone
got
now.
one.
We might set you up on Twitter today. We're going over to
It's a
Kawartha.
Motorola flip
We
phone.
might set him up on Twitter. Hit Kelly Balson on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at It's Spencer Lewis. Follow the beautiful Crystal Doucette with the steady hand, who's sat here for God only knows how long, at CDoucette33. Follow her on Twitter. Thank you for the support. And I've already got Bench Racing Volume 3 lined up. I'm going to be dropping that lineup in the next couple of days. Y'all not going to believe who I've got set up to do that one. Again, thank you for the support. Hit us,
you, Spence.
www.insidetracknews.com. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We're going to do this again. Bench Racing Volume 2.